Is it any good? Hello everybody, yes you are reading the title correctly. I have indeed watched Drive to Survive Season 4 and I thought, hey, let's make a video just like we did last year, answering some of your questions, avoiding the spoilers, and basically, I'm not going to go into, what the dialogue between two people was like and, say every word and ruin it for you. I'm just going to give you my overarching impression of it all, answer some of the questions that you've put under our tweet that we put out yesterday, and that's pretty much it. Let's dive into it. At Journey Style, how many episodes? Now, there are 10 episodes. We were only given 8 though, not just me, everybody in media was only given 8 as of recording right now. Now, there's speculation as to why 9 and 10 haven't been kind of sent to us, but I would imagine it's because it hasn't been approved yet. And of course, you can imagine what episodes 9 and 10 are all about. So yeah, haven't seen them yet, but episodes 1 to 8 I've seen. At Matt the Czech, just a simple one, is it any good? Oh no. Straight in with do I like it pretty much. And I hate to say this because genuinely I am such a flag bearer for Drive to Survive. I think it's been groundbreaking and amazing for bringing in new Formula 1 fans. But this season, honestly, the worst of the lot. And I've got many notes as to why. I will go into them as the questions come in. But as a kind of overall statement, it's the worst season of the 4. OOBot1 asks, rate it out of 10. I'm going to have to. Obviously, I've only seen the first 8. 9 and 10 could change the entire series if it gives us loads of amazing behind-the-scenes drama. But from what I've seen, it's a 5 out of 10 at best. Maybe even stretching to a 4. I know, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. At the Panchand asks, what's the most surprising thing they've added this season which no one even thought or cared? For me, I think it's episode 7 where they have this big rivalry between Alpine and AlphaTauri and more specifically Tsunoda versus Ocon. The French Grand Prix, they're battling for 13th place and it's hyped up like it's some sort of battle for the championship. It was very strange, but on the flip side, it was actually probably one of my favourite episodes because it was proper Drive to Survive, get your teeth stuck into some behind-the-scenes footage. Tsunoda, he is just the GOAT, and you'll love seeing him in this series. But yeah, it was a tale of two halves, episode 7. At F1 Annie 4, how heavily featured is Mazepin? Well, there is an episode fully dedicated to Haas, pretty much, and again, it's probably one of my favourite ones just purely because we get that behind-the-scenes juiciness of, certain pressures, which I won't go into too much detail about, but genuinely the Haas episode was actually probably one of my favourites in terms of the level of detail you get from behind the scenes and you feel like you're genuinely a fly on the wall. So for me, the Mazepin and Haas episode was actually pretty good. At Danny Kafif, is there an episode or more than just scenes of Interlagos? Well, Daniela, I hate to tell you that genuinely there's been hardly anything of Brazil. They may include it in episodes 9 or 10 because it's towards the end of the season, but no, hardly anything, I'm sorry. Red Hucker comes in with a tweet, does Kimi say more than 5 sentences? I've literally not seen Kimi once in the first 8 episodes. And the second question, is Bottas doing interview from sauna? No, I haven't seen him in a sauna yet, but there is a episode dedicated to him, episode 8, where it's all about Russell versus Bottas, which is a bit meh, it's not great. I know that some of it's even staged, I've heard, in terms of Russell signings and stuff like that, so yeah, it wasn't great. Tweeted_thought asks, is it a good thing for Formula 1? Yes, it is. Drive to Survive, at least in its previous iterations, the first couple of seasons were brilliant for bringing Formula 1 fans to the sport. You could see, in America, for example, 400,000 attendance, I think it was, for the latest Grand Prix. And I think, don't quote me on this, but 150,000, I think it was before. So, huge increase of numbers. I know there's skeptics of, all the Drive to Survive fans are toxic. Well, F1 Twitter is toxic and was toxic before Drive to Survive fans came in. So, don't even blame it on DTS, people. It's just the sport is ever growing. There's going to be more fans, there's going to be more opinions, and that's what happens. But yes, I think Drive to Survive is a good thing for Formula 1. This season, I think, shows why Formula 1 have come out recently and said they may restructure and change what Drive to Survive is all about, because it took a step down, and we don't want that. It needs to be ever growing, ever changing, and it needs to grip you every single season, and this one just didn't. At Visor, it's Seb. I need to know what episode Seb is in and their time tags, so I'll go and just watch that. I I don't think I've seen Seb interviewed once. I might be wrong with that, but Seb has featured if he has, it's been a very small quantity in the first 8 episodes. Kieran NUFC 99, have they faked any rivalries this year? No, I mean, obviously I mentioned the Ocon versus Tsunoda thing, which was a bit weird, but apart from that, there's heavy emphasis on obviously Mercedes versus Red Bull and McLaren versus Ferrari. Anything else just kind of seems to be dotted into episodes. There's an episode on Williams, episode obviously on Bottas versus Russell, but heavy emphasis, as I say, on McLaren versus Ferrari and Mercedes versus Red Bull. Maybe a bit too much on McLaren versus Ferrari. I feel like that's almost a safe storyline to go in season 4, but hey ho, that was Netflix's decision. The Mad Hiker. Any obvious cut and paste misplaced team radio? Yep, just a little bit. Wow, there's a lot of misplaced, not just team radio, but footage. Just random strange clips being put together. For me, there's one about Russell, Spa, they actually include a little bit about qualifying, nothing about the race and the farce of that, but the actual qualifying and Russell obviously having that amazing performance in the Williams, that was episode 8, I think. But the way they constructed his lap was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I think I saw him go through turn 1 about 4 times and then sort of jump forward to the middle, then jump back again and jump forward again, and just not particularly gelled very well. And speaking of gelled very well, I know that Drive to Survive isn't in chronological order, but oh my god, it makes no sense. The way they jump to things and go back, I think between episodes 2 and 3, episode 2 they talk about Monaco race, Charles Leclerc not being able to start. Then episode 3, I know they're trying to go with different storylines and they have to piece it together. But episode 3, they're talking about Monaco qualifying. And they go through the whole Charles Leclerc failure again. Honestly, I don't think they've actually seen, or we haven't seen in the first 3 seasons, as much repetition as this season. So much repetition, it actually gets a little bit annoying. I went on a bit of a rant there, I apologise. Russell63 Merc asks, can you give the title of each episode? Yes, I can. Clash of the Titans episode 1, Ace in the Hole episode 2, Tipping Point episode 3, A Mountain to Climb episode 4, Staying Alive episode 5, A Point to Prove episode 6, Growing Pains, that's literally a Tsunoda episode and called it Growing Pains, episode 7, and Dances with Wolf episode 8. I don't know what episode 9 or 10 are because we haven't been given it, but those are the first 8 episodes. At Lowline, did they milk the unfortune of Ricciardo to make people feel awful before the turnaround in Monza episode? They did show a lot of Daniel Ricciardo suffering, 100%. They showed a lot of him being lapped in Monaco, etc. There was quite a bit of footage about that, and of course they are trying to build up to the Monza, amazingness. But the problem is, it just lacked a bit of pizzazz when he actually won in Monza. I didn't feel that sense of elation. And I don't know I can't pinpoint exactly what it is. Maybe it's because I'm getting a bit frustrated with the chronological or non-chronological order of it all, that it just, your brain is kind of scrambled. But for me, it's just lacking a little bit. It feels like they haven't had as much behind the scenes stuff. And it's more just like a glorified season review. Yeah, there are moments, don't get me wrong. There were a couple of moments, Haas episode and Tsunoda and seeing stuff like that behind the scenes. Ocon as well, you get a bit of him at home. That is what Drive to Survive is all about. But there is far too many onboards, team radios, things we've already seen as Formula 1 fans that makes you feel like it is that kind of glorified season review. So I need to stop going off on rants, but that's my feeling. This isn't a question, but I wanted to cover it anyway. Another reason I think that potentially this series is falling off is because teams see this as a massive marketing tool. I don't know if it's because it was new in season 1 and maybe it still was very filtered and teams were giving approval, but it genuinely feels a lot more staged and a lot more like you're not actually a fly on the wall, you're just watching a sort of PR piece of content. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys will feel completely differently. I'm really interested to see, the feedback when this is launched, and I think it's 11th of March, just to see what all of you say. But for me, I was just like, no, they're running out of ideas, and it makes me sad. Munaj16 comes in with, do they cover the battles between Lewis and Max well, while also focusing on other drivers and teams? Yeah, I think they do to a degree. Obviously, they show the big moments. They've shown Monza, they've shown Silverstone. But that, again, in a season review, that's fine. You know, I'll watch that stuff back. There wasn't much additional layers to that. Probably because Lewis Hamilton, you know, gives his kind of few bits of interviews and it's very kind of, you know, top level and there's nothing really deep to it, and Max Verstappen just refuses to be in Drive to Survive full stop. So maybe that's where it's lacking, that, you know, that genuine interview feel where they're giving that opinion. Like Bottas, you know, for example, you know, his frustrations, he actually shows it, whereas Hamilton doesn't really give us much at all. So maybe that's why it's missing a bit from that side. At SV5 Regina says, is the biggest episode the one where Checo wins? Honestly, I don't think Baku got more than 15 seconds. We see Lewis's lockup, I think, and then Max crashing, but we don't see Checo winning. We don't see really any of the chaos of Vettel getting podiums or anything like that. Seb was very much cast aside, in the first 8 episodes at least. Maybe 9 and 10 is completely Seb Vettel land. I don't think so, though. At Kent Cameron, how many seasons do you think Drive to Survive has left? It's a good question, and obviously, as I mentioned earlier, Formula 1 have said they're kind of going to restructure or change the way that Drive to Survive is moving forward. I think genuinely because they've watched what I've watched and gone, is that it? That's very samey and copy and paste and actually worse than the other seasons that we've had. So I don't know. If they change it, if they, I don't know, get rid of this marketing feel to it now, then maybe there's many more seasons to come. But if they don't change something, it's probably doomed to not have many seasons, if any, left. Right, there's some questions answered for you. I apologise if I've given you a bit of a negative feeling towards the Drive to Survive release now, because I've spoken about it quite critically, but I think at the same time that's what you appreciate from me, is the fact that I will tell you if I think it's not that great, and something genuinely does need to change moving forward if they want this series to continue to be a success, because this, I still stand by the fact, what is the worst season that I've seen. Maybe episodes 9 and 10 are amazing and save the whole series, but I'm not holding my breath at all, especially with all these approvals that are clearly having to go on. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you're still very excited, you think that I'm just a grumpy old git these days, I think that my view on it has been reasonably accurate. But hey, I'm looking forward to seeing your feedback when it gets launched. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Leave a comment and a like if you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.